All right, helpful tidbits for everybody. We will now get tonight, July 10th Community Preservation Committee meeting started. Um, just as a reminder, this meeting is conducted remotely over Zoom, attendance by
Recording
board.
in progress.
It is definitely being recorded. There you go. Well done, Wayne. Speaking of preservation of records, Mr. Ventresco.
Yeah, really.
This meeting will be conducted remotely over Zoom. Attendance by board commission members will be remote. Remote attendance shall count toward quorum. Meeting is being covered by ECAT, so you can always look at popular recordings. Encourage you to go to ECAT, tons of information there. Going around the horn, if you could just say present after I say your name to confirm attendance. Jim Lee.
Present.
John Ventresco.
Present.
Ed Hands.
Present.
Bill Vesio.
Present.
Dennis Sheedy.
Present.
Meredith Teach.
Present.
And I am Tom Broussard. I am also present tonight. So with that, folks, this might not be a super long meeting. Really, the biggest thing we want to do tonight is to provide a forum just to talk about the subject we raised at our last meeting, which was, did any of the town meeting budget discussion considerations inform how we as a CPC might prioritize, what our policies may be, and how we may undertake planning on a go-forward basis. For a couple of things, housekeeping first. So minutes, I will take a motion to accept the regular session minutes dated June 12th, 2025, unless there are any issues.
So moved.
Second.
Jim Lee and John Ventresco. Going around the horn in opposite order on my screen. Meredith Keach.
Yes, I agree.
Dennis Sheedy.
Abstain.
Philip.
Yes.
Ed.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Tom is an aye. So that's unanimous with one abstention. Dennis. Next up is committee organization for chair and vice chair. I know Amanda is not here either to advocate or defend for herself, as the case may be. But I think you all know her character and her commitment very well. And she and I are both willing to continue on, but happy to see if you folks might think differently.
I'd like to move it forward to the current slate.
Second.
That would be Ventresco and Sheedy, and going around the horn in the different direction, although Meredith has moved. Jim?
Aye.
Meredith?
Yes, I agree.
John?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Philip?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
Tom Broussard is an aye. Excellent. Appreciate all of you guys. While there may be a chair and a vice chair, it's a team thing. It's a team game. So you folks make this all possible. So appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Tom, if I may, thank you. Thank Amanda too. We know you do a lot of extra work and it's appreciated.
I appreciate that, Dennis. Thank you guys. Thank you, John. Appreciate y'all, honestly. Definitely team game. I'm going to skip order just a touch. So the thing I'm going to get to next really is about somebody who I've had the pleasure to work with for many, many years. I think she's just done an incredible job for the town. Her heart is always there, let alone obviously that she works and dedicates her brain power to us. So this next one I think is hard and something that we as a team need to consider. And I'm just wanting to make sure everybody was aware of timelines. But if you haven't heard, this is your chance to learn that Stephanie will be retiring from the town of Easton. I think it is a true full-fledged retirement, Stephanie.
Yes.
Yeah. In case you are not aware, this retirement may have happened a couple of months ago. Stephanie kindly, given everything that has been going on from a town perspective, extended her engagement. I tried to convince her that another 5 years would be great and she could re-up. She wasn't having any of that. I tried negotiating and she almost said, I'm leaving today if you don't stop. So I figured I'd just cut my losses. But team, I just wanted you all to have a chance to acknowledge Stephanie and to understand the issue. And then after that, certainly talk about it from a CPC perspective. John?
I'd just like to We all know, I think all of us in some way or form has worked with Stephanie, and I don't know how she does it. There's a lot of projects and situations and meetings, and she does the juggling and does it great, and it's very appreciative from a layperson and member of the community. So I thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you. And thank you, Tom, for those kind words.
Of
I'm
course.
not sure I deserve all of them, but thank you.
You deserve them and much more. Actually, I have to express my appreciation for all the help you gave me during many years of being in Tom's chair. And I liken doing things in a small town to dancing in a minefield. You never know what's going to blow up. And usually it has its roots back 300 years at least. And so you have no inkling. And again, the feelings are there. And I think you helped me at least avoid some of the big ones. And I appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
I should say something nice too, because you've put up with a lot from me. But one of the funnest things I've done in my time in town government is working on that open space and recreation plan that we did together a few years ago. And
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
you're such a professional.
Well,
And-
thank you.
And this isn't the first time she's retired, so
I was just going to say that.
But I think Tom already pointed that out.
Just when you thought you were out, we're going to pull you back
pull you
in.
right back. Yep.
I'd like to say thank you too, Stephanie. You're always my first go-to in town when I have a question. And, I work with a lot of different municipalities, and it's so refreshing to be able to just call you and ask a question and have you point me in the right direction. And it's invaluable, and you're really going to be missed. So, but I wish you well in your retirement. That's what those of us who are still working aspire to. So I'm glad that you've gotten there, and I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you. Thank you. And I that's one of the parts of my job I really enjoy, Meredith, is when people call and you can give them an answer and help them on their way. That's
Really invaluable. You're going to be missed, and we're grateful for your time here.
If I may, Stephanie, I so appreciate your professionalism, and I work in Brockton, and you don't know how many times I ride by you as you're riding your bike to Easton. So
well,
and it
thank
seems
you
like-
so much for not sounding your horn when you do that.
well, I'm going the other way, and you're usually on the other side. But it's like
No,
no matter which
I
way
meant that
go,
with
it's
all
like,
seriousness.
you're coming in so many different directions. It's like, well, what's going on here? But it's like, I really appreciate everything you've done for this committee over the years. And, I know you did retire at one point and you're back, and it's, your commitment is unquestioned. So enjoy. I'm about a year behind you, but I'm getting there. So thank you.
Thank you.
Steph, I'll just close with a couple thoughts. First of all, incredible appreciation for all of the time you've dedicated. I'm not sure the average resident, I think probably most of us do, appreciate the number of meetings that you have to attend as part of your responsibilities, the amount of time, whether it's before work or after work. I know we used to have calls on my way into work, because it worked for me. And you were always just incredibly positive, gracious, thoughtful, regardless of the circumstances. And as somebody who has, I guess, at times lost my objectivity to the degree that I always wish I could keep, I have never found you to be anything but unflappable, thoughtful, helpful, and just committed to getting to the best place possible. And the other thing that I usually try to understand about people and reflect upon them is how their team does. And just a quick shout to the fact that Wayne is, one of the also incredible people that contributes to this team, to our community. And team members don't usually do well if they don't have a great leader. And so I think that directly reflects on you, on all of us for any success we've had. You've absolutely played a role in that, either directly or indirectly. And for that, I will always be appreciative. And I just think that you're a class act, an incredible professional, and one of the nicest people I've met. So deeply appreciate you, Stephanie, and everything you've contributed to our town.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. And you kind of stole my thunder a little bit because I couldn't do this without the team that I have and their professionalism, their dedication, their service, and working with board members like you, all of you. It's really been wonderful. It will be something I will miss tremendously, but I will be doing some other things. So, but it's just great when you work for a great community and such a committed and dedicated community. It makes the job so much easier and so much more pleasant.
Well said. Just so that you know, and we can tell it to your face now, when somebody leaves normally, they usually get blamed for all the things that go wrong for at least the next 2 to 4 months. So I just want you to know we'll be firmly supporting Wayne and leveraging that get out of jail free card. And it's no personal slight to you, Steph. We just, always could use a get out of jail free card. All right. So in terms of how this affects us, so I believe Stephanie's last day is mid-August?
August 29th.
August 29th, so late August, which is great. I thought it was just after our meeting. I guess, team, the one thing I would just want to ask for you, and this applies to you as well, Steph, but what are the things that Stephanie does that you want to make sure, like, we're thoughtful about, we don't drop the ball on? I certainly know the things that I leverage with Stephanie, and Stephanie and Wayne have always, we have always met together. So I'm not concerned about getting agendas done, for example. But if there are things that are important to you or conversations you have with Stephanie, please just shoot them over to Wayne, Stephanie, and I, and we'll consolidate them. The other thing is, how does that impact us is just a question. I'll give you one. So anytime you have a transition and you don't want to miss a beat too much, you want to be prepared for when the new person comes in. And so, one of the things, Stephanie, Wayne, if it's helpful, we're happy to share your engagement on the CPC, the things that we believe make you successful, the items that we lean on you heavily for. I'm sure you both know that, but those are the things the CPC needs to consider to say our next partner has to really, hopefully hit a home run on these things. Nobody will ever be a Steph, but hopefully, they'll have a degree of exposure, experience, and they'll bring to the table some of the attributes that you so ably did, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that would be very helpful.
Cool. So if everybody could get those out, if you don't have anything, fine, we'll just call it, say, same day next week. But if you do have thoughts or considerations or concerns, let me know and let us know,
And
so that way we can try to capture.
I'm not sure you said this as well. I mean, are there things that you would like to see more of or done differently too?
I would like to see a quadrupling of any grant receipts that you obtained.
We did a pretty good job on Swift's Park.
Yeah,
no, you did a phenomenal job. That's why I want to quadruple it. I think we could turn CPC into a revenue center for the town. No, but that's a great example, Steph, right? Like,
Yep.
if the next person has zero grant experience, I might be like, I would just be working with the town and Wayne and that person to figure out, like, how do we support that? Because so many projects in our community are funded through grants. That's really important.
Yep. And I think I think this was a good example, the fundraising that John and Ed did. While it didn't match quite what the Tricentennial Committee were able to do, it certainly raised a significant, an importantly significant amount of money for the project.
Absolutely. Before we move on, anybody final thoughts on Steph planning director position? Are we good? All right, moving on to the last item. I do have a brief update just on the Langwater Farm discussion, so I will give you folks that. No firm discussion, just want to give you an update to keep you in the loop. But the other key item was just a discussion about the CPA priorities, policies, and planning, and how the recent budget discussions, the override vote, the feedback we received, how that might impact the CPC. And it might not impact it at all from people's perspective. That's okay, I respect that. Some people might say, I think it absolutely plays a role. And I know last time we met, for example, we had a discussion about the importance and thoughtfulness of building up reserves, being thoughtful about that, of potentially not engaging in more debt for the short term while we built up those reserves, as an example. So I think absolutely being thoughtful about our reserve balance, being thoughtful about the utilization of debt, especially in an interest environment that we exist in. But I just wanted to pause and let you folks come back and either say, nope, I'm good. I think we should be thoughtful, but situation normal, or no, I really feel passionately that I heard this and this is something I want to consider. So I can either go around the horn or somebody can jump in. Around the horn it is. Well, John raised his hand, so we'll start there.
I'll start. And, and we had talked a little bit, Tom, about some of my concerns. So many of the projects that we do in town are supplemented, or we're supplementing town projects because we're historically rich. And I get a little concerned because we're so historically rich that we don't have the funding for maintaining a lot of those historic structures, and that we become the capital budget, CPC will, and we will not be able to do some of the smaller projects like pocket parks, and being very cautious that, and I think you hit on it, about bonding under this environment, and that we've got potential in the next several years, some large parcels coming up, and to weave all that together, we've got to do some very thoughtful process of those, and keep that in mind.
Good points. And if you see me looking down, it's just because I'm writing notes. So appreciate that, John.
And again, a perfect example also, one more thing, the school projects, the playgrounds, all of that. And I think that I just foresee that going to be even tighter under the restraints that we have. So I think we just have to be very, very cautious, careful. Not that we always are, but even more so now, going forward.
Awesome. Thank you. Meredith, you've got your hand raised?
Right. On the heels of that, the Recreation Commission met the other night, and I apologize, I wasn't able to attend the meeting, but obviously received an email in regards to this from Joe Pitti afterwards that apparently there was a lot of residents who reached out to the rec board members regarding the closing of the pool this year. And so the letter that we got from Joe was that there would be a fundraising campaign to raise $60,000 to open the pool in 2026. So this is really in line with what we're talking about here, where we have these magnificent resources in light of budget cuts anticipated in the future. Connor had met with the board back in February to discuss this, and some of you may or may not be aware that the schools have decided to start charging for everything that they can charge for. Parking spaces, use of the fields, use of PA system, use of classrooms, you name it. And so I think that this is something that we all need to be aware of. I don't, there's no blame anywhere. It's just because of money and the crisis that we're in. but where is this funding going to come from? Is to everybody's point. And will we be able to raise $60,000? I don't know. The pool costs about $30,000 a year, and my opinion is that the pool is, aside from a lovely, beautiful spot with a sandy beach, it's a safety for the town, just like Yardley Rink, because Yardley Rink creates a safe space for the children to be able to skate. And I mean, thousands of children have learned to swim at our town pool. And in the absence of that, I have some grave concerns. But we shall see. So something to know.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Meredith. My kids learned to swim there. I have heard from a few people about fees, fees to rent the field, literally. I've tried to make sure people understand the circumstances. Obviously, there's a lot of information out there about why we're in the situation that we're in, but and I also don't judge because, even when the train hits you, even though you saw the light coming, you're still a little jarred by the fact that it's now real, right? I will also say that just so that people can appreciate the gravity, I can tell you that the police department are running 4 shifts regularly and mandatory overtime, and the same thing on the fire department. So it's not just that we face a strain on monetary resources, but what I would argue is our greatest asset, which are the people that work for us. Many of them are also being stretched, overburdened, and just have a tremendous amount on their plate. So Meredith, I'm glad you brought it up. Heard, I think you're spot on. I think John, you're spot on that the reality is resources will now be even more scarce. I appreciate the use of the word rich, but when I put it in context of some of the very big projects that are coming potentially our way, I feel like we don't have enough resources, whether it's Oaks Ames Memorial Hall or, as we'll talk about, potentially Langwater Farm, some of the other priority parcels. So yeah, I think there's a lot of pieces that are really moving around. So next up, anybody else? Jim, I see you're not muted, so I figure I can call on you easily.
I think I concur, and I see it being a challenging short run.
Yeah. Dennis?
I concur also, but I think part of our problem is transparency and fighting the misinformation that's out there is what we're capable of doing and what we can and we can't do. We're going to be scrutinized, but Swift Park is one of those issues, and but you hear at town meeting, they just bring up that they don't see the big picture. So how do we get the information out that we're restricted? We can't, to John's point, fund every school project, and we can't do everything, but we can help and we can think outside the box a little bit to help the town along. But we need to be transparent as to what we can and can't do and get that information out somehow.
Great call. That was on my list, John. I have communication, but it's the same type of conversation about making sure people appreciate the value, the reason, the logic, what we can and can't do. Just understand. So many people that I talked to through the process didn't understand what the CPA was. They didn't understand what we could or couldn't work on. They didn't understand like the match. Like there was just a lot of people. And I think I've said this many times before I actually ever became truly involved in the town. I was one who had no idea as well. So I get it. Had young kids working around the clock. All right, Phil.
I mean, all I can really do is just echo what everyone else has said. I mean, I definitely agree. Need to be cautious with how we move forward, but yeah, the storm is coming from the public, so.
Sure.
All we got to do is get ready for it.
Mr. Ed, hands of time. Ed?
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said. But I've been around a long time, even longer than John, and this too shall pass. This is not the first financial crisis the town's been through, and we'll get through it. It's reason to be optimistic, but I really like Dennis's idea about trying to hop over the social media that tends to be so negative about everything. Maybe we can work on getting out and meeting the public some more. One thing I'd like to suggest is going back to the old days. It was pointed out to me recently that, back in the day when John Grant was around, which was the beginning of the CPC, we had a list of priorities. And, we're always saving things to meet that list of priorities. And maybe it's time we look at that. That's one of the things that you've actually asked us to do, in any purchase of new land, it has to be evaluated for its usefulness. And we can get into debating about usefulness, but certainly there are parcels that are priorities. Maybe we could look into a 5-year plan, because we do have eventually we are getting our money back from the Beacon project.
Yeah.
So, which could be a lifesaver for all of us. So take a look at that. And some good news. One of the things that CPC has done is, as you guys know, come up with $5,000 grant to expand the community garden. And I met with a fundraising person today, and he says, well, we don't want you to go and ask the CPC for anything for the next couple of years. In 2027, if you guys want a grant, we can get you a grant to expand the CPC, the community garden even more. So I think the more connections we make, like Meredith's hope to raise the money for the pool, I think most, yeah, what did Anne Frank say? I think most people are basically good, and we'll pull together in a crisis.
Good call. Couple things, Ed. I think I mentioned to you in the past that I have probably 150 to 200 foot, 48-inch high Tractor Supply. I guess I'll call it like a horse fence almost. Like it's not just chicken wire; it's pretty solid. And I have about 30 or 40 T stakes. So I might just reach out to you offline and see if we can find somebody with a pickup truck.
Yeah, we could definitely do that. Wire-wise, we're in pretty good shape, but stake-wise, we always need more. So that's good.
Cool. Well, I'll give you both. So the price of getting the stakes is taking the wire. How's that
There you
work?
go. Yeah, I can understand that. Yep.
I also want to say, if you folks haven't been by Swift Park, I don't know how that's possible in this small town, but you should. It's really coming together well. The people there, I see them working incredibly hard. It was 94 degrees last week, and they were cranking away, making progress. But you can really start to see it come together. And it'll be one of those remember whens, but when that is a walkable area and that park is in full bloom and people are sitting there in the summer, I think a lot of people are going to be like, wow, this is really neat. It's good that somebody X number of years ago made this happen. So it looks pretty good there. Thank you all for your feedback. I guess I'll just add on a couple of my thoughts, several of which you've covered. Again, Dennis, I had communication down, just like, how do we make sure people appreciate what we do, the level of thought that goes into it, the way the process works, and it's not just some type of free-for-all giving out of money. The second thing is value, just to the point of why we want to communicate, but sharing with people value, whether it's some of the harder things to value, like usefulness. Like I'm with Ed on that. Like I I think I told you folks this story at the risk of repeating myself. I will explain why I have learned as a businessman you cannot calculate the ROI on everything. But when I was a kid, my dad had a delivery service, and his delivery drivers always had to wear a white press shirt and a green bow tie. And I learned about ROI at like, I don't know, ninth grade. I was like, Dad, what's the ROI on those bow ties? Like, you got to be wasting money. And literally, he's like, tomorrow you're coming with me to the Providence Chamber of Commerce. We went up. I was uncomfortable because I was meeting all these adults. He must have asked 50 people. And he said, Hey, could you do me a favor? My son's here doing a project. Could you just help him understand what you think of now curry that comes to mind? And like 45 people said, Your people are cleanly dressed and they wear a bow tie.
Yep.
And we get in the car and he's like, Tom, I don't know what the hell the ROI is on a bow tie, but I know that everybody remembers us for it and it's a positive impression and they value it. And the where I'm going with it is I don't know if we in all of our projects will always be able to demonstrate for everybody in the public that this particular project will cost 50 grand. It will be done in 1 year. It will provide a $75,000 return over 9 years. And it doesn't work that way when you're talking about the preservation of one of a kind historical items. It doesn't necessarily work that way when you talk about inimitable Easton items like a town pool. Like, does a town pool really matter in the grand scheme of things across the country? I don't know if every city and town has a town pool. I don't know if that's good or bad. I do know that in Easton, all the parents with young kids are really damn appreciative of being able to go to a safe spot, like Meredith said, on a Saturday, 5 minutes from their house, and it's just. I mean, I remember taking the kids, getting pizza in the back of the truck, and watching. I think it was the duck release. Like I think that's what it was. Like I have pictures of that to this day. So I want to make sure you guys know. I think I had mentioned last time that helping our residents of our community appreciate the value of what we do doesn't mean that it's a calculation in all cases. It just can't be. I don't, at least I don't think it can be. I do think we can demonstrate that we are always thoughtful. Like if we take land off the tax roll, I think we can articulate how much taxes those were. I think if we preserve land, we will know what the estimate of that land is and therefore the highest and best use. And we can talk about those things. Might obviously Meredith for those things, we would definitely like leverage your thoughts about valuation of property and stuff. But like I just think we can make sure when we get in front of people, we are trying to think of it from all as many angles as possible, and value is one of them. I do wonder. So I look at the three things we have to work on and focus on by law: affordable housing, open space and rec, and um, historical preservation. I do wonder if there's a role for us in the concept of what Wayne has brought forward of playing a meaningful partner in some type of mixed use affordable housing development. Like like I think of the shovel shops and I'm happy to chat someday and I'd love to pick brains, but so far from what I can tell as a layman, it seems pretty successful. It seems to have done a good job. It preserved historical assets. It created a base of population downtown that supports local restaurants and activity. So, are there more things we could do like that where we get to partner with other people, developers, that we take unused lands, we get them back on the tax roll, we create some affordable housing, and we're helping hopefully to drive some smart growth. That may or may not be doable, but Ed, love to hear your feedback.
I think that's absolutely fantastic. And I know Colleen and a number of people who worked on that project were always hoping to sit down at the Historical Society and put the history of how that project came together down, which we never really did. But something like that is happening right now in Furnace Village. It's not just Swift's Park. It's the affordable housing and regular housing across the street, and the revamping of other housing to fit into a very historic neighborhood. I think that's going to be a showplace. It's as you pointed out, and while we don't have a mixed use thing in the middle of the road yet. We have one of our biggest shopping centers at one end, and the Five Quarters area is being redeveloped as a commercial center, which it always has been. It's that's historical. So I think that could be a formula for revamping some other neighborhoods in town to increase their value.
Tom, could I jump in for a second? Just to
Please.
build on what Ed was just saying. Because part of, he's talking about Furnace Village, and while it's not one particular project or parcel of land that you had open space preservation and affordable housing, or historic preservation, but through the zoning and through other initiatives like CPA, like the LIP development of Avalon, you got a real mix of things. Part of the zoning encouraged redevelopment of single family homes into two family or even three family units if you preserved the exterior of the building that front faces the roadway. So that would be something I think I would encourage the committee to think about going forward as you're thinking along the lines of what, again, Wayne has long advocated for, looking at opportunities to leverage the different purposes of CPA in single projects, but also outside of what the CPA does. What does the rest of the town do that could encourage historic preservation or open space, whether it's through zoning or some other kind of policies that the town adopts?
Perfect. John?
Something I've wrestled with for quite a long time, and sometimes it shows on my face when I talk with members of the community, and that's the value of CPC. And again, getting back to we talked this a little earlier, educating people on what we do and where those funds go. And a perfect example, and this was just before I came back from a vacation. I was talking to somebody, and I go through my whole spiel, and sometimes I get passionate about it, and they said, and I said, well, one of the things we did was the playgrounds at the school. What do you mean? The school paid for that out of the budget? And I go, oh my God. So here we go. So then I started to say, so we could go on and on about this. Sometimes I wonder, to your point, Tom, that people respectfully, sometimes people, they work until 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. They might be juggling a family. They eat, they watch a little TV, go to bed. They don't have time to do what other members of the community are doing, like ourselves. So, I thought about an email blast potentially once a month, once every couple of weeks, where did you know if CPC didn't exist, this wouldn't exist, this wouldn't exist, and go all the way down the line. And people might say, now, I didn't know the playgrounds were paid for through CPC. I didn't know that the Children's Museum got a grant for restoration. I didn't realize, and again, I don't have to beat a dead horse. We all know what we do and what we funded over the many, many years. And maybe they'll learn the pickleball courts. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. But it's just amazing to me. And sometimes it shows at town meeting that people still don't understand the mandates and the mission statement that we have to do, which personally, and I know all of us because we're still here, are very proud of that. Extremely proud of it, because the town wouldn't exist as it is today without CPC. I'm convinced, as far as our value.
Agreed. Ed?
I was talking to a guy today who didn't know that there's going to be a parade on Saturday that's going to block the streets that he drives up and down to get out of his house. So, you know, there's
Yeah,
a
that's a
limit
great
to how far we can go.
That's a great example. Um, I had two last things, I guess, for considerations that came up for me in terms of how I'll be looking at our priorities and policies for myself through my lenses, so to speak. One is one of the questions I think I want to ask more regarding our applications are what are the long-term plans for whatever you're asking us to support? So if it's, I'll use the courts because it's a crazy, wild example, but you know, I think going forward, I will ask, what are your 5, 10, and 15-year plans for this particular parcel? I'm assuming in that case they're going to say they will be basketball courts and tennis courts. But but I want to make sure that if there is a town entity that we are impacting, that the town wants it to be supported, intends for it to be active and supported, so that what we aren't doing is spending money that in a few short years might be repurposed for something else. So I just want to be very thoughtful about, the Children's Museum. Uh, you know, do you plan on being in business for the next 5 or 10 years? I think it sounds very obvious, but I think asking some obvious questions are really important for the applications that we get. Um, the other thing is, I think I have a sensitivity on open space items right now. That's what I've heard from the residents. That's what I feel folks have resonated strongly with about how much of our land is protected from tax. That doesn't mean I don't support appropriate open space projects. I just think I'll be very sensitive to them, to understanding how do we articulate the value we just spent, especially myself personally, 9 months educating the residents of our town that we have exactly what we've wanted, which is a lot of open space, recreational space, non-taxable space. 1/3 of our town is non-taxable. And um, I can tell you that less people know about that than they know about the road closure, which is hard to believe, Ed. But like, people are like, I don't understand. How did that happen? Why did you do that? And we're like, I don't. First of all, none of us get to do the budget. We all have to vote, and so like that the residents own this. We love it. We love the open space, the trails, we love it. We don't love it when it's inflationary period, budgetary crisis, and challenges. So it's I just know I will have a sensitivity to that on a go forward basis. So those are the last two things. One of my takeaways is to just try to game plan and bring back to the team how we can increase our communication cadence. So I think we can certainly try to engage via town crier, for example. I think we can certainly come up with some materials that could be downloaded or printed, or like a CPC did you know, like a one pager or a two pager, including easy access to a listing of all the projects that we did by category. So I'll take that as a to-do list, and we'll come back and bring it to you guys. Happy if anybody wants to join in. We'll take you along for the journey, but otherwise we'll just bring back a plan for you folks to, kind of look at, tear into, and add value to. All right. Thank you so much for that. I know it took a little bit of time, but I think it was important to just reflect upon all the learnings we had from the recent process. Last thing, just as an update, Langwater Farm. So had a call with the Ames family. They are incredibly focused and understanding of our current situation. They are working so hard to get a tremendous amount of funding and grants and support from different state government entities. They're trying to do everything they can before they come back to the CPC with an application or a request. We certainly let them know that the residents have spoken very loudly on how they feel about an operational override. They have expressed a conservative nature regarding the expenditure of money, and we would expect that any CPC articles would be heavily scrutinized. we clearly articulated that Langwater Farm is a tremendous asset to our community. The Dwyer family is just integral to so many great things that happen. Farming in and of itself is an Easton passion. We definitely didn't speak to them in a negative way to dissuade them, but we were very candid that, look, times are not rosy and money isn't overflowing from the coffers. And we just told people how hard it is for us to get policemen and firemen. So they appreciated that insight, that information. I think they took it to heart and they asked if they could continue to go back to try to find alternative funding. So once I hear back from them on the next go around, I'll probably start putting the agenda item on our agenda so we can start to have a broader conversation about it. I just wanted, and the public can engage. I just wanted to give you folks an update in terms of the conversations. That's all I have. I did want to be thoughtful. A couple things. One, I realized after the fact Wayne's got his hand raised. Wayne,
Yeah,
Sarah?
The Community Preservation Coalition dues, the late arriving.
Oh, good call. Not reasonably anticipated. We always like to make sure anything we spend money on is approved by the committee. We have our dues for the CPC this year. The coalition, they are an incredible partner. They keep and advocate for us like champs, and they give us access to a tremendous amount of information. I can't foresee any reason why we might have a challenge. The dues, Wayne, could I trouble you for that amount?
They are $4,350 for FY26.
Got it.
Which is what it was last year and the previous years before.
Perfect. So if you guys are okay with it, I take a motion to approve and expend.
So moved.
Second.
So that's Sheedy and Ventresco going around the horn. Dennis?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
And Tom is an aye. Thank you, Wayne, for that reminder. So I just wanted to apologize. I know we probably take off a month here in the summer. So I am just thoughtful. Is everybody okay for the August 14th meeting? I know I am. And the reason is, so it sounds like pretty good. The reason is what I'd like to do is I'd like to put all of the warrant articles on that for the beginning of a discussion that we had removed from the prior meeting and just start getting those reviewed again under the current light and our kind of revised posture, so to speak. Meredith, hand raised. No more yawning. That stuff's catchy, Meredith. Come on.
Sorry, guys. I'm a 5 a.m. riser. I apologize. August 14th might be tough. I'm taking one of my kids on a baseball tournament trip, so I don't know if I'll be able to be there, and I apologize in advance. But if I can, I will. If I can't, I can't.
No, I appreciate that, Meredith. Thank you. Look, I guess I'll just say this openly, team. I usually circle back when people say they can or can't. I want you all to know that if you can't make a meeting and there is an item for discussion on there that you are incredibly passionate about, that you can contribute to, please, while I can't necessarily guarantee accommodation depending upon timelines, I always would prefer that every member of CPC be present to share because all of you bring so many different perspectives. That said, I'm not concerned if somebody misses the vote on the CPC coalition dues. I'm not saying everybody always has to be at a meeting, but Meredith, I'll just say it openly to you. If there are any of those prior articles that you feel incredibly passionate about that you can contribute meaningfully to, just raise your hand, send me a note, and we'll try to move on. That applies for everybody. So next meeting's Thursday, August 14th, 7 p.m. Anybody have any last minute news or anything? If not, I am convinced that the Red Sox have won all these games straight because I have been watching them. So I'm concerned that it's still 0-0 and that they need me. So
They're just waiting for you, Tom.
They're waiting. I'm just concerned that Walker Buehler's on the mound, Steph, and he's easily capable of giving up 15 runs in one inning. So I'm a little nervous. All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Hands. And Jim, going around the horn. Jim,
Aye.
Meredith,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Phil,
Aye.
Dennis.
Aye.
Tom is an aye as well. Guys, thank you so much for your efforts and for the team. Appreciate you. Have a great July.
Have a great night.